Yes, guys, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Riccardo Calafiori to Arsenal. Here we go. It is finally done. Fabrizio Romano has finally given us that seal of approval. When you hear "here we go," it is definitely 100% done. And of course, it says that Riccardo Calafiori to Arsenal. Here we go. Bologna and Arsenal have started to exchange documents right now. All sorted between Bologna and Basel. Calafiori will sign a 5-year deal, no option for another year, but he will be earning 4 million a season net. That is done. That is dusted. In this video, I want to dive into what to expect of the Riccardo Calafiori player and also the Riccardo Calafiori sign, because those are two very different things. What he brings to Arsenal is different, but then him as a player, what are we really expecting to see, from Riccardo Calafiori? And then we'll also talk about what are the next steps, as we've been told before. Arsenal are working on other signings as well. Who's going to be coming in next? What is the likelihood that it's a striker? What's the likelihood that we're going to see a midfielder coming in next? And what's the likelihood that we're going to see a winger coming in next? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's get this video to 500 likes as we have got our man finally. First and foremost, I want to say, how are you feeling in the comment box below? Because this is a deal that has really taken a long time. We have signed this guy for the whole of July. We thought Arsenal would sign 2-3 players in July. And listen, it could still be a possibility that we get another player and another player within the next 7 days. But the Riccardo Calafiori deal has really taken a lot of time. Ever since we started on this, I think it was on the 2nd of July, Arsenal agreeing personal terms with the player. Then we went to negotiations with Bologna. That took a lot of time. And then after that, we had to wait for Bologna and Basel to agree, terms between those two. It really took a lot of time. So how are we feeling that we finally got that seal of approval from Fabrizio Romano? Here we go. Now, in terms of expectations, I want to set expectations on Mikel Arteta as a team manager with Riccardo Calafiori. But I also want to set expectations with Riccardo Calafiori as a new player. So let's start off with Riccardo Calafiori as a new player. So the first thing you're going to see, and the first thing we expect, if he's not injury prone, and we pray that he's not that injury prone, is that he's a player that's going to allow us to have many options, especially defensive options. We've already done a lineup, how Arsenal will line up with Riccardo Calafiori, and I showed you 10 different combinations that Mikel Arteta could use now with all the defensive options he has. And of course, Kivio could leave, maybe Zinchenko could leave, but that really doesn't matter. Riccardo Calafiori coming in, he just allows Mikel Arteta to have players that have so much depth in terms of versatility. He can play at left back, he can play at centre back, he can tuck into that midfield position as well. So for him, I think, coming into Arsenal, he just allows the team to have as many options as possible. And then the other thing is that extra quality on the left-hand side. We've talked about balance before, and I think what Mikel Arteta has been lacking is a Ben White on the left-hand side. Ben White has really revolutionized the way we see right back at Arsenal. Remember the right backs we have seen over the years. Hector Bellerin, Mathieu Debuchy, Bakary Sagna. They were not really that bad, but I think we have just seen a different kind of right back in Ben White. A guy that can defend well, a guy that can overlap, a guy that can tuck into midfield. We have just seen a complete player play at right back. Now you're not actually you're not afraid that Arsenal are really going to concede multiple goals from from the right back position. And it was a massive upgrade on the Hector Bellerin, the player who he came in to replace. Initially, it was Tomiyasu who had to replace Bellerin, but I think that injury-prone nature of his career didn't allow him to do that. So Riccardo Calafiori comes in as a solution to the likes of Alexander Zinchenko, to the likes of Jakub Kivio that we saw last season. And that's why Mikel Arteta has gone for a left back, because he wants someone that can come in to elevate the level of quality this team can have on the left-hand side. And why Riccardo Calafiori is an upgrade on either on either two, this is the reason. You're looking at a player who's defensively almost at the same level as Jakub Kivio, if not better, but an upgrade, a million miles an upgrade on Alexander Zinchenko. So that means that you don't have to worry that Arsenal are going to play Alexander Zinchenko in that defensive position, because you have a guy that is much better. Now, in terms of the offensive game, Again, Zinchenko is a class. Is a classy player in terms of taking care of the ball, attacking, and just doing different things. Jakub Kivio is not that kind of player. So what you would get by combining Kivio and Zinchenko, you have now by signing one player in Riccardo Calafiori. So that level of quality is what Mikel Arteta has been able to get in Calafiori, and he's been successful at doing that. He just wakes up and signs a player, and that player raises the level of a particular part of the team. Rice in midfield, Odegaard in midfield, Timber in defense. Saliba is not his signing really, but he incorporated him into the team. Raya in goal. I think he's done it again with Riccardo Calafiori. So we are going to see a little bit of balance. He should be able to understand that we have brought him in to get quality offensively. That what we get from Alexander Zinchenko, we should be able to get it from him, and also defensively. And I think that is what we saw at the Euros when he assisted for Mattia Zaccagni, and then he had a very, very good Euros spell as well in the group stages before he was sent out for on suspension with a yellow card. But for Mikel Arteta, what are the expectations? What do we expect out of the whole team, the whole project, and Mikel Arteta? Now you've got your man. Last season, Arsenal conceded 29 goals. There is no excuse now for us to concede 30. Honestly, we have the best defenders in the world right now, and I think we have the best, I would say, we have the best defensive combinations in Europe right now. So if we conceded 29 goals last season, this season, we should be able to concede either 29 or less. And that's why a player like Riccardo Calafiori, again, is signed for 50 million euros. I mean, there is for 42 million euros. There's no way you've signed Riccardo Calafiori to become worse. You've signed Riccardo Calafiori to become much better. And I don't remember who said this, but I want to say this. I believe in the statement and also in the school of thought that thinks goals win games, defenses win titles. I believe in that. I remember Jose Mourinho coming in with his Chelsea team, 2005, and they won the league by literally making sure that clubs couldn't score against them. Mikel Arteta has implemented the same kind of strategy at Arsenal. We have seen this team, limit teams to chances on goal. They're not limiting you to the number of goals you can score, but they're limiting you even the number of chances you can have. You're not having the ball, and when you have the ball, they will surround you, and even if you get past them, if you have players like Pedro Neto who have that quality to go past our midfield, our defense will make sure that you don't get a shot away. Our defense will make sure that you don't get a decent XG on goal. So Riccardo Calafiori, tall. Again, we're going to talk about set pieces, but he's tall, defensively outstanding, and then offensively outstanding. Arsenal should be able to concede less goals. Arsenal should be able to, consolidate that back line just to make sure that when you talk about the teams that you cannot score against, Mikel Arteta's team is in there. And that should be able to win us the title, honestly, because if you concede, it is unacceptable last season that we conceded 29 goals. That means that Arsenal had an extra 9, is it 9? 29, an extra 8-7 games, right? An extra 8-7 games in a season where they just didn't concede, because the games are 38, we conceded 29 goals. So basically we had something like 9 games or 8 games, right, on the calendar where Arsenal didn't score on average. Didn't concede on average. For you to concede 29 goals, you must be able to go and win the league. And I think that's what Mikel wants in players like Riccardo Calafiori. Yes, defensively, we are now taken care of, and he makes us better defensively. But also on the offensive side, we will be able to attack on both ways, on both flanks, left-hand side, right-hand side as well. Now, for me, such a signing is an icing on the cake. It is what you call, I would say, a beautifier for me. Yes, he's a level raiser, but for Mikel Arteta, this is where you have no absolute zero excuse. You have zero excuses for not winning the league now. You have zero excuses for not getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League now. You have zero excuses for going any season in the next 6 years without silverware. And that's what Pep Guardiola has done. He has built a team and he has gone 6 years consecutively winning some silverware. So if you're Mikel Arteta, the question is, can you now go half a decade, yeah, the next 5 years, half a decade, while you deliver something in terms of silverware at the Emirates Stadium? Otherwise, if you don't, then such signings are not making any sense. So, in terms of expectation, I said it last summer that Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, and Jalen Timber, these are players that we knew the title. And they nearly so did. If Partey didn't get injured and Jalen Timber didn't pick up that whole season injury, maybe we are talking about something different, because Timber makes our defense massively better, especially on the left-hand side. We had Zinchenko and Kivio, and we were gambling a lot, right? So for me, the expectation from the team, we've got much better now. Can we now stop challenging? Can we start being the ones challenged? And then for Riccardo Calafiori, can you give us that balance that a player like Ben White is giving us in the team? But the most question that people are asking is, Cossy, who is next? What is next? Again, two very different questions in terms of how to approach them. So I'll start off with what is next, and then we'll dive into who is next, because who is next is basically it depends on the market, depends on who the team are really trying to sign and all that. But what is next for Arsenal right now is to sort out the goalkeeping situation for once and for all. Yes, I've heard that Aaron Ramsdale is going to be might stay. Why? Why are you trying to keep a player that doesn't want to be there? And secondly, that means if you keep Aaron Ramsdale this summer, Arsenal will have to go and try to buy a new goalkeeper next summer. I don't want to see it. I don't want to say it. Honestly, I don't want to say it. It makes me sick. We have tried to buy a goalkeeper every single summer for the last 10 years. Leno came in at some time. Ramsdale came in at some time. Raya came in at some time. This season we have two new goalkeepers, and we still have to sign another one. We had a goalkeeper that was called Alexander Runarsson come in. And no, please. Can we sort out the goalkeeping situation for once and for all? And that, for me, that should be what is next. That is what is next. Can we sort out the goalkeeping situation for once and for all? Can we go out there and ask ourselves, how did Manchester City get Ederson and Ortega to work together, in harmony, right? Can we ask ourselves, how did we see Alisson work with Kelleher at Liverpool together in harmony? Can we have some, peace of mind in this goalkeeping department? So for me, that is what is next. If we're going to loan out Culhane, like it has been suggested, and therefore he won't be our third choice goalkeeper, that means that Arsenal have to replace Ramsdale as second choice and sign a third choice goalkeeper. That is what should be next. Honestly, we are going into preseason. We have started preseason, not we are going, but we have started preseason without a goalkeeper. Honestly, it's not embarrassing, obviously, because our goalkeepers are resting, but I thought by the time we signed Calafiori, we could have brought in a third choice goalkeeper. We could have, and we should have. So the goalkeeping department and situation should be sorted out next. Then the midfield. So for the midfield, Mikel Arteta, whatever he chooses to do, I won't be surprised. I mean, he wants an 8. Tomorrow he wants a 6. But for me, I know that the manager, ever since I've seen Mikel in the transfer market, he always knows what he wants to do. It's all the media that is always confused. He always knows what he wants to do. If he wants to sign Mikel Merino, he has a reason, and he will sign him. We've just talked about Mikel Merino being that physical player that, kind of gives you the Kai Havertz signing esque feeling, and then the Granit Xhaka replacement feeling as well. And then last season, Rice played there as well. So I think Mikel Merino is highly likely to be our next signing if it's not a goalkeeper. But the midfield situation should be sorted out. If we're going to keep Thomas Partey and Jorginho in the team, well and good. If Arsenal think that the number 6 market is not as good as they want it to be, no one has a problem with that. We can deal with that in January or next summer. But can we really get in at least one more midfielder just for enough squad depth? Next is a striker. For me, I don't know why a striker is coming in like late on my agenda, but this is not in any particular order. Go and get a striker. It's as simple as that. You can play Kai Havertz in midfield. It will work. Go and get a striker. Let us defend well, but also let us score well. Let us utilize our chances well. I think with Arsenal, it's not about the number of goals we score. It's about the number of chances we don't use. So if we can get a guy that can bury chances, 30 minutes in, it's a goal to nil, half time, 2 goals to nil, and you rest assured that every single game, if he's on the pitch, he will score, most likely. Go and get such a guy. Gyökeres is your boy. And then a winger to back up Saka. Go and get a player like Nico Williams. Go and get a player like Chiesa. Go and get a player like I've just seen Yankuba Minte. Jesus Christ! Like, how are Brighton allowed to make such signings without clubs opposing them? I'm not saying it's illegal. I'm saying clubs are sleeping. Yankuba Minte, goodness. They have Minte. They have they have Minte, and they have Karumitoma. Oh my God, it's insane. It's really, really insane. But I think Arsenal should do something like that. If you don't really want to go and sign a player at the level of Chiesa, you can go and sign some maybe not underdog, but some understudied Saka, someone who's not going to give you a lot of headache. 20 years, 22 years, in that age range. Yankuba Minte would have been a very, very great shout. I mean, I'm just excited about the goal, really. But you get what I'm talking about. So who is coming in next? I think Merino will be our next signing. He's got all the vibes of, hey guys, I'm coming in. And then Gyökeres, keep your eyes on that one too. In terms of the goalkeeping department, there's a lot of names there. There is Andre Lunin. There is Joan Garcia. I can't really grasp who's going to come in, but why don't we discuss that tomorrow in the morning at exactly 11 a.m. See you soon. Good night.